Here comes.
It's rock, it's pop, it's roll, rock, pop, and roll. This from the US Festival, the legendary US Festival from 1983. It's INXS. INXS Live. Because we're going to talk some INXS today. Because their catalog, interesting to me, the way the climb up, and then that apex with the Kick album that you know, we're gonna play some tunes from it that remind you. And then, you know, Michael Hutchence died as INXS was still viable, still a band, not so much on the radio because radio changed, but they had we're gonna look at that late period catalog because there's some stuff on there that gets forgotten about. And that's what we do here at Rock, Pop, and Roll. We remind you of the magic. Here comes from the US Festival. This is your friend. This is Rock, Pop, and Roll. I wrote here, they went up like a rocket and came down with a crash. I don't know if I believe my writing anymore. Because if they went up like a rocket, if INXS went up like a rocket, it was not a very fast rocket. Not a very powerful one. But it wasn't like an explosion, right? It was an album and then an album that was better than the album before, then another album. You know, they kept building to that 87 Kick album. They had videos. They were a video band, radio songs. They were great live. Had that Jim Morrison vibe, right? Michael Hutchence had that Morrison aura. They were from Australia. They looked like friggin' rock stars. Welcome to Rock, Pop, and Roll. INXS. They're dismissed by some as like image driven. And they had a short hit career. It went up, kick, and then came back down. Are they pop? Are they rock? Are they a dance band? Are they a rock and roll? Are they the best rock and roll 80s dance band that you could always dance to? Because that was a thing. You went to the bar, man. There was a band, and you got up and danced. There's the 80s, kids. Rock, pop, and roll. Let's look at INXS. Let's dive deeply and intelligently into their catalog, see what they got.
Green fields, grass and earth, broken bottles, bricks and dirt, sunshine soothing, clouds are hazy, dark street corners, feeling lazy, fast car driving, sleek and modern, public transit.
Well, more new wave, right? That was their first Australian top 40 hit. Single called Just Keep Walking from late 1980. And if you know, psychedelic furs, there was that new wave, a little punkish attitude, but clean, not too dirty, and had that danceable little boom, 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 right?
But anything's nothing when you're dead. Fast car driving.
So if we go to the album that was their big one, Kick, we always do a little history lesson to help me remind myself why a band was what they were. And INXS was Kick. It was recorded in Sydney and Paris. Let me go to a Kick song. I ain't got to do this until later, but, what was the one-off Kick that everybody knows, right? Well, everybody knows this. This is the Kick album. Where they figured out the whole mix. So according to the biography, Atlantic Records did not like this album. The label offered the band $1 million to go back to Australia and record another album. They said, this one's not it. The band said, fuck you. Kick was released in October of 87, peaked at number 1 in Australia. It only went to number 3 in the US, but it was huge. 4 top 10 singles that we'll dig into. But they had more than just Kick. There was other ways that INXS and their music worked. How it got into radio and into your head. What is their legacy? The rise and fall of INXS. Next. It's not really that. Today we're going to talk about a band that was electrifying live, had a charismatic frontman, and a mix of that rock, pop, and funk. They were global superstars. There's Wembley concert. I don't know if you say it live, baby, live, because he says live, baby, live in New Sensation, but the concert, I spelled the same way. I say it live, baby, live. That was when they were at the height of their powers. You know, whatever that was, 70,000 at Wembley Stadium. And they were playing stadiums across the world. And they've just released the 40th anniversary reissue of Listen Like Thieves. The band formed in 1977, the Ferris brothers, Tim, Andrew, and John, and Kirk Pengilly, I think is how you say his name, Gary Beers, and Michael Hutchence. So they started off as like a pub rock band, playing in the bars, small venues, developing that INXS sound. And that's why maybe, if you're a pub band in the 70s and 80s, you got to get people up. That's what you did. You got people up on the floor and they danced, they moved. Their early music had a lot of Bowie in it. I hear Stones in it, but I also hear the new wave stuff. Their first album was released in October of 1980. They recorded it in 79 and 80. From midnight to dawn. And that's what you did if you were a young band. You found studio time that was cheap. And the cheapest time, man, was like 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. Who's recording, once the guys who were recording from all day into the, midnight hour got out, then you could get in. All the tracks were credited to all the band members. All got writing credit. That single, Just Keep Walking, their first top 40 hit. The album did not appear outside of Australia until 1984. They had a hit that was number 20 in the top 20. It went to number 18. This is where I found it, was on their Kick album. And so I'd have to look back. Is this their first single that was top 20 in Australia, and then they never released it in the US? And they put it on the Kick album?
She's walking, she comes my way, red dress on, her long black hair.
Well, there it is.
Oh baby, I love you so, I need you now, I want you back, I can't go on.
So the story is, because I looked it up, The Loved One was recorded twice by INXS. The original studio version was a standalone single in 1981, in Australia only. And they later put it on a compilation album. They re-recorded the track with a substantially different arrangement for the Kick album, which we just heard. And they have a version on that Live Baby Live, Live Baby Live album, however you're going to say it, 1991. So their second album was called Underneath the Colours. It was released outside of Australia and New Zealand in 84. Pengilly, I think he played bass, toured the first album. Then had to come up with a follow-up. We weren't prepared for it, and I think the album wasn't as good. Although they did have Stay Young. To number 21 in Australia.
Keep that
And you can tell the difference between that first album and this one. Just better production. Still in that keyboard phase that they would never really lose. Stay up. Had some Duran Duran feel to it. I think. Shabu Shuba, the third studio album they released in 1982. And that one had a song on it called The One Thing That Got Him Into the US. It was a number 2 rock song. Number 30 on the Hot 100. So if you were listening to any kind of radio in the 80s, this was the first thing that you heard probably from them. I remember that. Then they had a song called Don't Change that was only went to number 80, so didn't get very high up the charts. Some rock radio stations played that, AOR stations. It got up to number 17. But nobody really knew who INXS was yet. We're just finding out with this third album and the single sounding more radio ready. But this will still get played if you're listening to the right station occasionally on the weekend maybe. I think Springsteen did a cover of this when he was in Australia to open a show one time. And so everything they've released so far I've liked better than the previous thing. And that was all they had in the US were those two songs off that album. The name Shabu Shuba. Fourth album was Swing. This was produced by, did Nile Rodgers have a piece in this? It was recorded, let's listen to, do I have Original Sin? I do. Original Sin, this has Nile Rodgers, kind of the Let's Dance Bowie beat. And Daryl Hall of Hall and Oates sings backup.
You might know of the original sin. You might know how to play with fire. But did you know
that good, just that chic, the band had that bass, because that's what Nile Rodgers does.
Dream on, white boy. Dream on, black girl. Then wake up to a brand new day, to find your dreams are washed away.
Oh, hear Daryl Hall. Let me hear me some Daryl Hall.
There is a dream on, black boy.
See if we can hear some background vocals. See if Daryl Hall's in your ear.
Dream on, black boy. Dream on, white girl.
Can't tell if that's just reverb or Michael Hutchence singing it twice, double tracking and delayed. I'm gonna say Daryl Hall's in there somewhere. So that was their breakthrough. They had two more top 5 hits in Australia off this Swing album from 1984. I Send a Message was one of those. And Burn For You was the other. Not hits in the US. Chorus.
Well, you know that
a little more techno. But it was Listen Like Thieves that blew them up big. And this song, top 5 in the US, number 3 rock track. This was their moment. I found a story about this song that was interesting. So Chris Thomas was the producer for this album, and they were essentially done, and he told the band that there was no hit single, which has happened before. You know, John Landau famously told Bruce Springsteen that there's no single on Born in the USA. So Springsteen got pissed, went back and wrote Dancing in the Dark. Thomas told INXS that there wasn't the hit single, so the band left the studio for a few days. One of the Ferris brothers said, we were told there was no hits, so we left one day and had to go deliver a hit. So they searched through some demos, and out of the remaining demos that they had, Chris Thomas persuaded INXS to focus on one called Funk Song Number 13. Thomas said, it was great, I thought. I could listen to that groove for 10 minutes. He says, well, let's work with that groove. So they spent the next 2 days working on the demo track. It eventually would turn out to be... And there's that groove. So that was number 5 in the US, number 3 rock track, number 2 in Australia. The second single was it didn't do well on the Hot 100 chart. It was a number 11 rock track, so rock stations played it. And this time,
I will believe you if you say it's true. Girl, you know I need you more than any word spoken. I've seen you before.
and that's the INXS beat, right? That's where they come in on almost every song with that boom, 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 boom. That's INXS. They do it as well as anybody. As well as anybody did it over a long kind of period of time. Yeah, remember that? And then they had Kiss the Dirt. A rock hit. But not a Hot 100 hit. See, there's that drum again. This bass. That's a killer bass. And I don't remember hearing that one, but I remember hearing this one off the album. Listen Like Thieves. Because this has a great chorus in it, a great move to the chorus. Let's see if I can get it. There it is. So the love that chorus. Okay, so that gets us. We're INXS and rock, pop, and roll, and that gets us to the album that was their biggest album, game changer for them. Sold 20 million copies worldwide. First single. It had four big singles on it. This is the album that got rejected by the label. Said that the funk and the dance would alienate their rock following. I don't know that they were wrong, but this put INXS in the big stage. Yeah, they were what they were. If they didn't have that dance funk piece, are they INXS? No. So Need You Tonight, the manager for INXS arranged a secret meeting with the staff of Atlantic's radio promotion division. So there's the big bosses, and then there's the radio promotion division that the singles and the albums have to be promoted to radio, to record stores, wherever you're promoting them to, right? So the manager for INXS went to these guys and these women and played them Need You Tonight. And the head of the college radio, so college radio was a thing then, where college radio stations, there was a bunch of them who were playing music. And a lot of times they were playing, stuff that was a little more edgy than what a top 40 or a rock station might play. So he found the college radio promotion folks agreed to promote it to campus radio stations. And so the song was a success on those college stations, and then was released as a single in 1987, and it ended up going to number 1 in the U.S. So they had this, they had The Devil Inside, right? So this was number 2. They had a number 1 with Need You Tonight. This went number 2 on the Hot 100. So, on fire, right? Great riff. They were a rock band. They were a rock band. Screw you. You say they're not a rock band. It's like rock fans put INXS over in the corner, baby. They put them over here because they weren't, and I'm just talking maybe US rock fans who wanted to hear, what they want to hear in 87 that was rock, right? Was U2 rock? I think people considered U2 rock. U2 and INXS, they live kind of in the same rock and roll bubble for me. They're from another country, and it's not your basic name some bands, right? It's not your basic Bad Company, Foreigner, Journey rock. It's not corporate rock. But rock fans, I just get this feeling that there's fans who there's this contingent of people who don't consider them a rock band. So New Sensation went to number 3. We played that a little bit earlier. There was another top 10 song. Yeah, do you remember the ballad with strings? This went to number 7 on the Hot 100. Rock stations were all over it. Went to number 5.
Don't ask me.
So this was the last big hit they had from this album.
Don't have to
Four top 10s. Whew.
I love your precious heart.
There were some album tracks though that got played.
Veils and mistakes.
This got played on rock stations. Was not a single to the top 40 stations.
Almond looks.
Mystify. Remember that?
That chill divine. Some silky moment
Not a single.
goes on forever.
You had to be listening to a rock and roll station back in 87 to hear this.
Hearts behind.
Kicks in nice.
Mystify
A great album. Kick was a great album.
Mystify
One of the I always thought that they were a great live band anytime that you would see them. Michael Hutchence was this, I called him Morrison-esque, or Jim Morrison-like. There was this magnetic personality, this sexiness, this I'm a rock star dude kind of vibe that he gave off. And the band was always tight. Wembley Stadium, that Live Baby Live concert, 91, 72,000 fans. Watch that. They're going bonkers. So that's INXS. That was the height. That's the peak of INXS. And then, grunge, what happened was they came so late in the 80s and moved into the 90s that grunge was this thing that was going to knock some of what the sound of rock and roll was. Grunge changed that. So you weren't getting Poison and Springsteen, and U2 had to change, and they did, and it worked for them. But I'm not sure INXS, they did some things and tried to change, and they had a follow-up to Kick, which was super successful because it was a number one song. Suicide Blonde went number one off their follow-up album. It was called X. Great song. They had a top 10 off of this album. They had this was a rock hit, not a pop hit. Bitter Tears, big rock hit. Only went to number 46 in the Hot 100, as Casey Kasem would tell us. Bitter Tears, good song. We'll go to the chorus right here. I don't think it was as clean. It wasn't as powerful of an album. The production on it was not as good as Kick. This was the other top 10 song. It's called Disappear. So this went to number 10 in the Hot 100. That's a great song. That's great. Anytime you're doing. Disappear. So that was their follow-up album, and just, as with a lot of bands, as you hit your peak, your follow-up album is not going to be as big, and it wasn't. So then we're into full-on grunge in 92. And they struggled up to, this was a rock hit called Heaven Sent off the Welcome to Wherever You Are album. It was 92. Leaned a little more on the rock edge, right? Guitars are up in the mix. It's not as danceable, not as INXS danceable. Didn't get him a hit. They had a top 30 hit with Not Enough Time. And this was about the biggest thing they would have for the rest of their career. Went to number 28. But it has that, it has that Kick sound. And I think they struggle to recapture or want to recapture what that moment was. This life would just be so easy. Not enough time for all that I want for you. Not enough time. But I like every time. Slow burn, slow build. Michael Hutchence does always is good at it. Couple verses and then a good chorus, and then a female background. Fake horns.
In a fight against the
This is rock, pop, and roll, and the Full Moon Dirty Heart career of INXS. That's the name of this next album, Full Moon Dirty Hearts, '93, and this had Beautiful Girl on it. It's a lovely song, but did not crack the top 40. Pretty song.
She says, stay with me, beautiful girl. Stay with me.
And they had The Gift. Same album. So you know how U2 changed from Joshua Tree to doing songs like The Fly? It's kind of what INXS is doing, right? And then their last album was Elegantly Wasted. It's an album trying to kind of recapture their 80s sound. Make some peace with that sound. Elegantly Wasted, the title track, number 37 on the rock charts. It's not really a hit anywhere.
Baby's down the world and she knows it. If your spirit is running, why don't we make it in the rain like we used to? We run, we hide.
So this was 87 or 97.
The good life.
Michael Hutchence, they were going to go on tour in the fall. Like 2 days before the tour, they found Michael Hutchence dead in a Sydney hotel room. And so that was essentially the end of INXS, although they attempted to continue. Do you remember a TV show called Rockstar INXS? I watched that show. It was INXS. It was 2005, so 8 years after Hutchence had passed away, and they wanted to find a new lead singer, and reality TV was where they were going to do it. Dave Navarro, one of the hosts, contestants, they essentially competed each week performing different rock songs in front of the INXS members. There was a live audience. Band was good. It was like, America's Got Talent or Star Search or American Idol. But this was called Rockstar INXS. A guy named J.D. Fortune won the competition. So then they recorded an album with J.D. Fortune. Album was called Switch. Because they switched singers, right? The song they released off that was this.
Falling asleep at the wheel again, baby. You're drifting over the line, yeah. Your hands are
Called Pretty Vegas. Scraped into the top 40 at number 37. It was a top 10 in Australia, though. And I thought J.D. Fortune was pretty good. Fit the role.
Save your tears and laughter, because it doesn't matter what you find. It ain't pretty. After the show.
That's not bad. And you think about the bands, you think about AC/DC, you think about bands that have lost lead singers and who continues, who doesn't. You know, Foreigner has continued live without Lou Gramm. I don't know if they've had any album success without Lou Gramm. INXS couldn't do it. You know, AC/DC did do it. Jay Giles, they didn't really try. When they lost Peter Wolf, the band was done. You know, think of all the bands that changed lead singers. Skinnerd kind of made it because his brothers, Ronnie Van Zant's brothers, singing.
You're back from hell. Save your dreams and occupations, 'cause it doesn't matter what you sell. It ain't pretty.
Not bad. I mean, I like it. I liked it. I didn't understand. I never understood why INXS. I think they had problems with J.D. Fortune. I think there was something that was going on. The collaboration couldn't last. I think they let him go like 2 years later. He reunited for some performances after that, but the band eventually just stopped touring. This is rock, pop, and roll, and that is the music of INXS. That's the overview. That's what you might have heard. It's what you might not have heard at the beginning, because who was hearing it? Just people in Australia. And then we got it onto the rock stations. So me, in the 80s, early 80s, that's what I was listening to as a teenager. Rock stations. They were playing kind of a mix of the rockin' top 40 and then deeper album cuts from Sammy Hagar and Journey and that whole. It was cool because they would play deep cuts or they would try new stuff. And that's where you started to hear the INXS. You know, that fusion of rock and funk and dance music. You know, they have an influence. I hear them in the Killers when I listen to the Killers. Michael Hutchence, damn good frontman, iconic. You know, I've seen him compared like to Freddie Mercury, little Jagger. Always good to have a little Jagger. Then they were dismissed because they were a little more pop rock than they were just a straight ahead rock band. And okay, whatever. Go ahead and feel that way. That's fine. But I can't diminish them. They fit right in, you know, just because it's got the thump, thump, thump. Miss You from the Stones has the thump, thump, thump. Hey, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And a lot of people have. If you have, tell somebody else to subscribe. Well, all you got to do is look up Rock, Pop, and Roll wherever you find your podcast. It's all one word squeezed together. That's the best way to find it. Rock, Pop, and Roll. No spaces. And we'll come right up. You can find us at rockpopandroll.com. All the old episodes. You can email me, rockpoprollpodcast@gmail.com. That's in the show notes. So just share with someone. We got a large contingent of fans who listen to us in Mexico, if you believe the statistics. You know, U.S. is one, Australia is always up there, but Mexico, yeah. What happened to INXS after they broke up? Andrew Ferris has a little solo career. Gary Beers is in a band called Ash and Moon. Tim Ferriss is retired from music. John Ferris is working on a new musical project for Sierra Gribben. Don't know. And J.D. Fortune is doing his own INXS cover show. As he should. Go ahead, man. Make a living, dude. Michael Hutchence, though, Pitchfork. I was looking up what different people said. Michael Hutchence' charm, Pitchfork said, quoting, lay in the fact that he seemed in on the gag. Excess was baked into the band's name. And he was kind of vexingly likable, they called him. AV Club had a quote that made sense, that sums up what we might be trying to say. The Australian six-piece never really shook the perception that it was more style than substance, a band that could generate frothy pop hits, but lacked the kind of depth that would bestow long-term credibility on its music. I think that's a good synopsis of INXS. They could never shake that rock, that pop rock thing. They leaned into it too. Guys, there was remixes that they did.
Love, baby, love.
So you gotta lean into what you are. That's the lesson, kids. Who are you? You do you. And I think INXS did them. This is a 12-inch dance mix remix. New sensation. And so I want to do that. And then I also wanted to remind you, remember the video where Michael Hutchence is flipping the cards like Bob Dylan's old video in the alley? I do. I remember the video. I remember the song. It's just words. Isn't that what songs are anyway? Right? But it was just one word, tying them all together, kind of. Mediate. INXS on Rock, Pop, and Roll. Hey, thank you for listening to the rock, the pop, and the roll. Rock, pop, and roll. Our episode on INXS. I want to leave you with one of the great Australian rockers of all times, Jimmy Barnes. Of all times. It's called Good Times. INXS, Michael Hutchence, and Jimmy Barnes. This is a great cut. Get us out. So be safe, be good, be kind to each other, be good to each other. And we will we'll be back here next time on Rock, Pop, and Roll. But until then, let's get the screams of Jimmy Barnes in here, because he's one of the great rock and roll screamers.